Hello friends, I'm Joseph and this is Almost Sound. We started Almost Sound and its podcast series with one main intention: to help artists, promoters, record label owners, playlist curators, and others in the music industry share their message and views with the world. We hope that you will get inspired by their stories, experiences, and work, and that by spending time with them at home, you will also get to know them as people. Without further ado, let's welcome today's guest. Govor is a DJ, producer, and the owner of record label Jujuka. Growing up in Russia's military camps, her love for arts and music has always been a great travel companion and pushed her to shape her own career and life as a journalist and eventually as an international DJ. She played events and clubs from Klockworks to Outwood, New York, Basement, New York, Tresor, Berlin, Exit, Croatia, and has shared the booth with the likes of Jeff Mills, Nastia, Stephanie Sykes, Tommy 47, and many others. In our conversation, we talk about living the lockdown, overcoming anxiety, learning not to judge others, while we also go from our first experiences with music to our latest projects, including sampling Villalobos. Aside from her existing projects, Julia is also working now for her label Jujuka to release and give a stage to aspiring artists from ethnic minorities worldwide. She's a force of nature with very clear principles and vision, and her words also remind us that letting things go is a tool that we can all use to become who we want to be and conquer our own freedom. Enjoy! Julia, welcome to Homo Sound.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello from New York City.
We were just talking about New York City and how sunny it is today. And I wanted to ask you, like, how are you spending your days now that it's quarantine and everything is a bit shut down?
It's very, the feelings are very mixed. In some way, I feel very grateful that I have my family next to me and we're cooking beautiful meals. We're able to read books we haven't read. Or we're creating a new project we didn't have time before. And also, as you can see on my back, we garden some vegetables. So it's interesting. But then another side, and everything is happening outdoor. We got bikes, so now no public transportation. We use bikes and riding all around Manhattan and Brooklyn. I live in Bed-Stuy on bikes, so it's absolutely new, refreshing city for me at this point. So it's a positive. But of course, the feelings of for the last 15 years, I was a person who extremely connect with people. So for me to go out, perform, or meet new people, go for the dinner with promoters and never meet again, or discover new cities, or talking with strangers on the airplane, or clubbers on the backstage. So this is all missing. And of course, it's very heavy. And so like I wish I would be that type of artist who is inside of their box, just doing the things and go home to the studio. But I am not. So my creative parts comes from people. I get the energy and I get everything from people. So I am really losing my shit.
I totally get you, and so I would define that being an extrovert. Do you think of yourself as an extrovert?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same for me. I'm an extrovert, so I've been like for the first couple of weeks and months since lockdown, since March. I was, oh, this is great. I'm gonna lock myself in a studio, do a lot of music, and work a lot, which
Finally.
I did. Yeah, which is great. As you said before, I did. You have more time for stuff, but then at some point, the people aspect of it is missing, and that is really hurting people like us who are extrovert, who throw energy from interactions. So it's very tough, and I feel for you. It's really tough.
Of course, we're missing feedbacks, good or bad. We're missing feedbacks. We're missing the motivation. Yes, we have inspiration to do things, but there's no motivation because we don't know if people gonna buy music, or people if they, because there's so many things happening
Yeah.
that you think that music is or what we do is not necessary anymore, because of it's also it's it's just
Yeah,
yeah.
there is a lot of like anxiety that is connected to creating stuff. I think there's probably anxiety with anyone in the world now because of uncertainty. We're losing control. We are realizing we lose control on everything. But from our artist point of view, I think we are really feeling this anxiety because we don't know if what we're doing is valuable. We don't get feedback, or will ever be valuable or used. Especially if we do club music, if we love performing, we don't know when it's going to be the next one, and it's it's really hard.
Yes.
And then
if it's going to be healthy, because of risking lives of other people, this is the worst. Like, of course, I love to play in places like I don't know, like illegal, but then when like per house, stuff like this. But then when you're risking other people's lives, you question yourself.
Yes.
Is it worth it? Or I should wait 1 year, shut the fuck out, and stay and wait until,
Yeah, it's a pretty hard decision, and I have a couple of questions that about your work these days. But before, there is a question from someone in the audience, Juliana, and she's asking, how is the situation in New York City rave wise? Are there a lot at the moment, a lot of illegal parties going on because of the COVID and clubs shut down, or not many?
Actually, where I live in Bed-Stuy, since April, there is a block parties. So it's a fantastic every day since 7 p.m. till 8 p.m., 1 hour. There is a house music playing on the block.
Wow.
It's all old school disco house. It's like organized by African American community, and people all ages, dogs, cats, brown, yellow, white and black, old and young, crazy and even more crazy. We're all dancing for 1 hour.
Wow, that's amazing. On the streets?
Yes, it's on the street here in Bed-Stuy. So they started at 7 p.m. and it's finished with a beautiful speech about how it's important to be united and take care of each other here in New York City. Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, it's beautiful to know.
Yeah, so it's happening something, but it's not a legal rave.
Yeah.
It's outdoor. And the music, it's pretty like house, disco. It's like classic, like what is
chilled.
America is about. Yeah.
Yeah, very chilled. And I saw your Instagram. You did a series of interviews on Instagram Live that you called Cosmonaut interviews. Did you start the project, or you started it with someone else?
It was just my original idea, because I felt like I have so many friends who actually alone, stuck at home. Because I have a partner, so we good, But I have some friends who are like a cosmonauts by themselves.
Yeah.
So I decided to create this project and just talk about what they do, because at the beginning, I was missing so much this engagement. So before, we were sending each other tracks, and we was giving each other like kind of
feedback.
So now we can share tracks, because if you're not gonna go play in clubs, I even don't listen music so much, like what I get promos or demos. I mean, I do demos for the label, but like just the promos from the like promotional companies, I don't listen, because I just like I'm gonna start crying because I like it, but work like, and plus if I do streams, like I mix only vinyl, so for me is digital is not possible even to perform except for the mixes, like pre-recorded stuff. Anyway, so Cosmonaut series was dedicated for 11 artists only, and I wanted to only do interviews with people who I know very well. Who I was living before, such as Nina, or like with Matty Johnson, with who I have opportunity for my very collaborate together for music many years ago. and he was one of those artists who showed me many ways of how I can use synthesizers and share his experiences here. And
There
it
were,
was
yeah, Jacques, Francesco Tristano.
Francesco Tristano, also very in touch for so many years. Then with Satoshi Tomi, who is a great friend of my husband, and we go for dinners before the pandemic. So those are people, and of course, I interviewed even my husband, who was extremely nervous, but he was good also. So I want only to interview people who I know. You know, I didn't want it to become like
like a
regularly. Yes. So, and then there was some other artist who wants to actually to be part of that, but I was like, I don't know you very well, like, you know what I mean? So I don't want it to become journalist again.
Yeah.
Because I was before. So I want to just interview my friends who I know. So not like.
And let's talk about it, your origins and your path until here. So I read it around on the internet that you were born in Russia and you lived for a while in a place called Abkhazia in next to the Black Sea. And it is also where you had your first performance. What do you remember about that night?
There was many nights actually, so maybe they all engaged in one. It wasn't a night. It was like we have this like a dance club which was running from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m. on Saturdays, and all kids and parents, they can come because if it was a small military city, like town with 11 buildings only, so around 400 families living. So, and of course it was a place where kids and parents can come together and they dance. Wow. So after some times, yes, we have this like Tascam tape machine, cassette, like for playing like music. And my sister came home and she's like, "Oh, Dad, we need this tape machine because of our like dance party is going to be canceled because of Astamur's tape machine is broken." This is I remember, but that was my tape machine. So my father told me, "Oh, talk with Julia. It's hers." And Julia was 6 years old. Yeah. You know, like
very young.
Like,
yeah.
I told her, "Of course, I'm going to give it to you only if I'm going to go with you there." So she didn't have a choice to. She take me, and I was next to this DJ Astamur, who was using my tape machine and using his tape and our tape and everybody. I was basically his assistant. That's how my career started.
That's pretty cool, and so. Wow, it's a beautiful memory to remember because it was it's of almost course. Like casual but beautiful moment of.
And you know, then older I get, and the memory from my childhood, it's like the blush, like a boom, they just come to my head, and I'm like, is it real or it's just like, where did it come from? It's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes what happens, I figured out for me, is also that we create memories, but from conversation we had with our friends, our family, and we keep discussing about something, and that becomes like a memory, even though maybe we didn't live it. Like, has this ever happened to you? Something that's similar?
Like no, our brain is functioned like that. The brain doesn't know the timing. Brain has a rooms for memories, and they just open the doors, and the memories comes out. So you cannot like. I mean, I guess it could be fantasy.
Yeah.
But most likely, the clear information, like when you can, like you're saying something and it sounds so real. That's most likely it was there. You know, it's not possible to hear from some conversation or something. You were part of that.
Perhaps like
makes sense.
It does make sense. Yes. What I guess, I mean, I know that I've experienced that in the past, and maybe some other people as well, but. There is this thing where you keep telling a story maybe about a friend or something you've heard, and then you think you lived it, but then when you actually go and fish, you can't really create. Maybe that's the difference. You don't really see the memory. Like you have a thought that tells you have lived experience. You were the protagonist of that experience, but then the memory is not there when you really think about it. Maybe that's the difference, right? It's like
Yeah, you
created.
don't remember the part, maybe like clear the picture, but you remembered you were there, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe,
Probably.
yeah.
I don't know. I remember or I don't remember. There is no other way around. I'm Russian, so we function like that.
Clear cut.
Clear cut.
Nice.
Yeah.
And another interesting thing is that, like, so your sister Galina, right?
Gala, yes.
And so she was also a singer when you
Well,
started. And
look, in the military families, like we were, every like kid supposed to do something, or you
right.
active in the sport, or you active in the creative, creating something from wood, or you go to the art school, or you dancing, or you singing. So kids have a choice to choose wherever they want,
Mhm.
because if we had these opportunities with a great teachers who were dedicate time while our parents were serving the military borders and protecting countries. We
Yeah.
were we were fully on. I actually had fantastic childhood growing up to have all of these possibilities to go into camping, to discover, like, it was full on. Maybe that's why I'm also extremely like open with people, because of I grew up outdoors doing so
Yeah.
many different things. So my sister, she was also part of this military like orchestra, and other her girlfriends, so that they have to, it was a part of the school deal, you have to perform or you're just going to get punished from your parents.
Well, yes. So I guess yes, everybody was kind of an artist.
Artist, everybody's an artist, exactly.
Yeah. and you progressed eventually. That was really back in the days when you were very young, right? And then you were living part of a military base, and it was temporary. So I've read that you were moving from time to time. You were moving to a new and into the next city or area, and you were settled in a new house.
Yes, so like being like a military kid, it's the same like your dad is a conductor in orchestra, so you're just moving from one place to another place. So like we moved 10 times, I guess.
Wow. Yeah.
On my lifetime, from like beginning to like I finished school like for 20 years, so
Yeah.
10 times, which is crazy.
They must have been crazy. Like also like, so the school was part of the camp. So you were essentially hanging out with other kids in the same camp, right?
Every time, new school, new kids,
New school, new kids.
teachers.
Wow, that must have been
Yeah.
also interesting. Uh, did you find it hard, or I mean, I guess if you didn't know there was another type of life, were you realizing at the time?
I think after like maybe 14 years old, I started realizing that I'm loner. It was very lonely for me because if I have to change all the time. But then I get used to that. And maybe that's why after sometimes, also when I was like traveling for my TV projects, I never missed anything, so I get used to new things, which is ridiculous, so like I never missed my like friends, I would say, like, because I always can have new friends, which is ridiculous. So
Yeah.
But it's definitely shaped me, maybe not in the best way in some part, but what can we do with who we are?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really great way to take it, because can you change it? I'm sure like everybody has their own battles and problems. And yeah, so it's good to know that like you kind of processed it in a way that you're comfortable in talking about it, and then you're like, hey, this is what it is. I'm gonna make the best out of it.
I wasn't that open when I moved from Russia to America, for example, because in Russia we not have these opportunities to talk, because we was always afraid, and we were raised that like you do your things quiet and do things. You don't need to talk. You don't need to explain how you feel and what you think about and share your opinion. I guess in America, like after 8 years of living here, I learned exactly that I can actually express myself, saying something, not only through my music or through my deeds, but also I can share my experience and why I am like that or why I'm not like that.
Yes. Yeah. And so yes, and there was something like I read in another interview. So you seem to be quite open in sharing like your story, which is very interesting. And there was something about you having to move and your mother losing a lot of books. There was a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that something very
Oh, wow,
important for her.
you find that one?
Yes,
That's amazing. Oh.
I found the story of the 5,000 books that your mother
Mm-hmm.
lost because they got soaked in transportation, right?
Yes, so when we were moving from Black Sea to Azov Sea, the only way how we can transport all of our possessions was you put it in a container, and it's then so my father was a captain of one of the military boats, so they
Mm-hmm.
all put all of these containers in one of those boats. But during the transportations from one city to another, it could be like it could be like really good weather, but if it's bad weather, so everything get wet. And
Wow.
of course we were not so lucky, and on top of this those containers they were stuck for 2 weeks on the how's it called, border control.
All right. Yeah. Border
So
control, custom.
yeah, custom kind of like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and then when they opened all of our stuff, everything was damaged and
Wow.
stinky. Like I remember, like my mom, it was the only things she owned all
Wow.
of her life, and she lost everything. So for me it was like, it was very deep, like not to get attached to things. I learned from that a lot,
Yeah.
not to get attached to stuff and not to be so materialistic and connected to things and pro objects. So, for example, when I get married already, I was moving from Europe to America. I have only 2 bags with me.
Wow. Wow.
I let it go, so many things.
It's
Because of it was
yeah.
like, I don't need so much in the end,
And it's
you know.
and you are
And now probably
same
if I'm
person.
gonna move now, and now I have records and I have like instruments and gear, and I was talking about this with my husband. So if we move somewhere, what we do? And I thought I will sell everything or
Yeah.
give away, like because of, I don't know. I think things are comes and goes,
Right.
but memories, they always popping up. They like they like I was explaining to you. They memories, they come in the most unpredictable time of your life, and just to explode.
Yeah, and they shape you, so that it's not
Yeah,
gonna go away unless like someone
yeah,
exports your brain or you die. So I guess
yeah,
that's the difference.
yeah.
It's a very interesting topic. Sorry, go ahead.
Eh, I like that you're nostalgic.
I am, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I am nostalgic, but also like I'm really toying with the idea. So I'll tell you the background of this. But like I was talking with Flaminia because she moved. She went to India for a couple of months. Then she went back to
Mhm,
London. She's going to Italy. She doesn't know what she's going to do, where she's going to live for a while. And we
mhm.
were talking. You know what? Like, why do we need to have a lot of possessions? I would love. And I started thinking. I found relief because I put all of my data in the cloud, in a cloud storage. So all of my
Mhm.
music projects, which is probably the most important
Uh-huh.
thing that I have in my life now in terms of possessions.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I really care. That I would like. If my house burns down, that's the only thing I would like to save.
Pool.
Yeah.
No burning house.
Yeah, no, okay, fingers crossed. But the point is that like I'm thinking, okay, now that I have everything in a cloud and I can access it from any computer anywhere, I feel so much more free. That I'm like, do I really care about everything that I have in my house? I mean, yeah, it's cool stuff, but not really. And it's beautiful to know that like you have done that. The life brought you to make that decision in a way unconsciously, but then that it became also a tool for you to be free.
I would never have this if we wouldn't lose everything. And I
Yeah.
remember this. And like it was already heavy to moving from the country where was a war to the new place. and then you arrive to the new place without anything. That was
Wow.
pretty crazy.
Tough.
Yeah.
Must have been tough.
Yeah.
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 And okay, and so that was when you were very young, and then you went to Moscow to study film
Production in TV. So like as a producer. So for example, if you start in the film and you need someone who can organize you everything, so I'm here.
Got it. Yes.
Like to find money or crew or like
people to work.
And that's what I was doing. Yeah, management basically. Producer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you were already a DJ at that time. You were DJing
in Moscow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before.
I was DJing already in a school, and because of in Russia again we have this like Dom Pionierov. Pioneer House, where we was dancing parties every Friday, not Saturday, every Friday. And then there was a two group of people who were playing their music. Back in the time, there was a group who was listening grunge and of course Kurt Cobain. And there was a group who were listening more like electronic, such as like Prodigy or Massive Attack stuff. So
you were on the second one, or you were alternating?
Guess which one?
The first one. No, the second one for sure.
Grunge. I was first at the grunge, not because of I like it, because of I have a guy who liked that. I like the guy who liked that band.
Wow.
So that's why.
For love.
For love, yes. But then it was cool, but then of course you want to discover something new, you change to something else. So the next was of course the more electronic UK stuff.
Yeah, Massive Attack.
Massive Attack,
Great. Great group.
So I started DJing also there, and then I became a host for all of the school programs. Like, hey, now this band is going to perform. So I was a host, and also I have opportunities to play the music. But back in the days, you cannot play music you like. So the kids were coming to you and they write you notes, and you have to use your mic and say, this is a song for Anastasia from class 10B. She would like to present the song for her friend Masha,
Wow.
And then it's a slow song, and everybody dancing like slow dance, guys invite girls or the girls invite girls. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Talking about your path. So you were DJing. You started your production university, and then you became like music journalist for a while, for quite some years.
So I had two professions. Because of the music stuff was helping me to, I work when I started university outside of the small city I grew up. I moved to another city, Krasnodar, where I was studying first university culture and art, and then I moved to the Moscow, bigger one, so in Moscow. So in Krasnodar, I have two jobs. So one, I have to still working for TV because it's a part of my university.
Okay.
And then because of I have a very middle class family, militaries, I had to I have to pay my rent, and so my parents didn't support me that much.
Wow.
Like I needed for the bigger city. So I had to be a DJ for this students' parties, where I was earning lots of my basically monies during this work at night. So I had Tuesday and Thursday work at night for students' parties, where I was doing lots of contests and songs, like it was nightlife. And then I have to go to the university, and then after 6 p.m. I have to go to do my journalist stuff and do my news and stuff. So I was pretty active and busy kid.
Yeah, you must have been. Yeah,
I had a very beautiful life. I mean, I still do, but like if I go deep to all of my experiences, it was really interesting. Had so many things. I was so busy.
Yeah, in a good way.
And now I'm like, it's hard for me.
It must be like so. We're gonna continue with your path, but like, let me ask you this question. It's like, now that like you have many less things to do, like how are you keeping yourself motivated? And this is something that and then there's another side of question which comes from someone in the audience. which is how do you keep motivated to work hard and do so many things at the same time, COVID aside, so in normal times?
Okay, because of in my childhood, I had growing up in a military family. It means that your parents are they serve the government.
Yeah.
And all of the kids, they're on the side with their teachers at the school. We grew up extremely self-taught almost.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, my motivations came and still going because of I see what my parents went through, and I'm so against of all of this army, all of this system that for me, I find it my own system.
Right.
Were they supportive? I was raised like have a system, but I was against of that system. Yes. I had to create my own system, and it motivates me to constantly doing something because of I want that in the end of my life, I have something I can share with the new generation, and I have to. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
You wanted to create your own thing. You wanted to shape your own life.
Absolutely, of course. I don't want that some other systems became my system. So I'm fighting against of other system. But if you want to have your own system, you have to be self-motivated, self-disciplined, and respect what you do and fight for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And
because of otherwise you can become system of something else. And if you wanted to do this, for most of people, it's easier. But I don't. So you have a choices not to be or to be.
So that this internal motivation gives you or has given you that drive, right? So it pushes you to be. And were your parents and your family in general supportive of your journalist career, your DJ career? Or they were
absolutely.
They were okay.
Yeah, because I was absolutely independent.
Very interesting. Yeah.
I was absolutely independent, and since 16 years old, I was helping my parents financially, actually. So I was extremely independent. I want for my mother and for my family that they have everything, but they didn't have it before, so I wanted to give them. But they're simple people, so they don't want so much like I want.
Yeah, it's interesting because in a way, like your parents, I think it's a good thing that they encouraged you, supported you. They told you like, okay, so long as you take care of it, go and do it. It's kind of in a way support. It's a mentally support.
It's so. I mean, I don't know. I never had any. Yeah, they always would say, "Oh, this is good. And it's like, but also I became extremely well-known TV host in Russia in early 2008, 2010. That all of the people in our small city and people with whom my mom was working, they all found out that, oh my God, Julia is like TV star basically. Wow. So for them, it was more than. It felt good, I think they were proud that I managed to do that.
Yeah, for sure. They must have been proud of their kids is like, wow, is going places, is amazing.
Yeah, they were very proud of me. I mean, my father is passed away like a year ago, but like they have no clue what we do in records or this, that she sees us that we are happy.
Wow, the most important thing.
She sees us that we have.
Yeah, it's the most important thing, and I think part of your, I don't know, I might be jumping to conclusion, but part of your the way you are confident is because of this, is the support that you received in a way.
Absolutely, and also like I know that lots of kids have their situation with their families, and it's like. It's heavy. could be. I have lots of friends who experience this, and I always tell them, like, just let it go. It's not because of you, it's because of them, and they have a deeper experience before with their parents, which you don't know. So you cannot change anything, but you can change your reaction on things. I know it's super hard and it's easy to advise us, but it's the only way.
Absolutely. It's easier said than done, unfortunately, for a lot of us. It's a journey, but it's worth it. Otherwise, you'll be carrying the weight of someone else on your shoulder for life, and you might don't even know like what happened to them before. They might get thrown shit at them for whatever reason, and you need to stop the circle in a way and be you. And stop being someone else. Yeah. Was there any fuck up or a mistake that you made when you were young and then it became a learning of your life, something that you still remember as a learning that is now enabling you to be a better person?
I guess there was some not like mistakes. I wish I didn't have, I would say, like, don't judge people. Like this was because of I judging myself, and I also, because if I'm judging myself, I judging other people. You can criticize with like facts and why you like this or not, but judging, I think this is not good. So this is like kind of things I wouldn't recommend people or artists or anyone to have.
Yeah,
not to judge, and it's create lots of negative experience, which are just doesn't do anything good to you.
Yeah, it blocks you.
It blocks you, exactly.
It blocks you from seeing the beautiful things that there are. And
but like practically, the question is fucked up. I don't know. I think it was all. Even if it was just the lessons.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's just the lessons, even if it was fucked up and like wrong decisions or wrong way. It was just the lesson. So it was the right way for that time.
Yeah. It's a beautiful way of putting it. We had a chat with Bas, who is one of the co-founder of Vault Sessions in Amsterdam, and he said, yes, we did so many mistakes. He said, no, sorry, I mean learnings in our path. And it's very true. I think thinking about these things in the same way makes us see things in a better way.
I wish also like maybe not to rush time would be really good, because of our society and time is just, and what's going on around pushes faster, successful, better. Like I wish it wasn't like that. I would like if like now I understand. Stop. No, I don't want to have this ASAP now, because what if I'm not ready for that?
Yeah. Yes. And it's similar to what we were saying before about the current situation in the world, where now we have an opportunity to stop and say, let's examine whether we are getting involved in too many things or we're rushing into stuff. Now we have a bit more time or less pressure. So that could be an opportunity for all of us to be reconsidering projects, commitments, our view about our lives.
Yeah. What do you think about all of this like movement, what's going on about like Black Lives Matter, and how do you feel about this? Because if you see, it's truly like all of our scene is dominated by you know who
white male guys. White male guys, which is the same reason why years ago Resident Advisor stopped to do the charts, the yearly DJ charts, because it was like it's not a conscious, like I don't think that people do that in a conscious way, but unconsciously it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I've realized something because of the Black Lives Matters campaign that I've never thought this deeply before, which was I also work full-time for another company, and we hosted a town hall the week that the George Floyd thing happened, the week after. But basically the whole of the UK office got together on a Zoom call like you and I are having. And the idea was, let's just let colleagues who are Black share what they feel. like no agenda. It wasn't like we need to solve this problem. Yeah. And I was there listening, and then you speak with these colleagues of mine, teammates, friends, and they're like, I'm Black. I was born and grew up in UK, and I remember going out and my mother telling me, come back before 7:30, before it gets dark, otherwise you're gonna get beaten up by the police or by someone else. And I was like, fuck, this is crazy. Like, it's London, and then I spoke with one of my Black friends and colleagues, and I called him that night. I was like, hey, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, man, thanks for asking. I feel very frustrated. And he's one of my bosses. So, I mean, it's like much more senior than me and anything. And he told me, you know what, like the hard thing is that, like, especially when you say that, when you, people don't realize that this is a reality. And he said, I am, in a way, I have a good social circle. I have a lot of friends. I have a good job. In a way, like, if
protective kind of.
Yeah, exactly. If I feel this way, I can imagine people who don't have my luck or established circle. They're gonna get like much more thrown off the whole circle. And he told me, he said, like, you can't imagine how many times I'm trying to stop a cab in London. The cab doesn't stop. And then he turns the light on 200 meters away and he picks someone else up, like a white person. And I was like, I don't believe, like, my reaction made me understand this thing, which was like, before I was like, because I don't see it in my circle. And I see London, I perceive London as being a very open city, which probably is, like New York. Every time I heard someone thinking or talking about racism in London, I was always like dismissive. I was saying, it's impossible. I've never seen someone being treated racistly or being discriminated in London, because everybody hangs out with different people, because that's what I see. But that is part of the problem, because from a white male guy, you can say I'm not part of a minority. And I keep saying to people that point to
it's not possible.
Exactly. So I'm telling them, you must be dreaming. And that shifted my perspective, and that was a big thing. So I started talking about the same thing with other people, and I think some people actually click with this thing, with this idea.
Of course.
Yeah,
that's good.
It makes me angry in a way with myself as well, because I never thought about it this way. It took me a while to realize this. Yeah,
absolutely.
What do you think?
Oh, I think you're right. And if all of those top 100 people who are constantly touring, what they're going to do, because they all speak an extremely supportive, but if they're going to do actually something, this is my concern with all of those promoters and clubs and big artists who are, you know what I mean? If they're going to give any support, and how they're going to support.
Yeah, there's a guy called Muramasa, who is not in the techno. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's a producer.
I heard about him.
Very big, very young, from London, and he created a support, let's call it, program to teach Black women in UK jobs relevant to the music industry. So it's kind of putting together, let's call it like a course only for women, Black women from UK, to get access to the music industry jobs. And he's curating that with his team. So he's like literally saying, okay, I'm gonna put my resources, myself, my team, to support people who might not have access otherwise to this thing. It's amazing. We're talking with Flaminia. We're doing this thing with HoS Sound as well. We're gonna do an accelerator program for people who are in minority, who don't have access to resources. So, and then we'll see. It could be like someone who is in a ethnic minority, or who has a gender diversity, or doesn't have access to resources. We're gonna help them release music on our labels or someone else's label. So that's the idea. And
please share with me if you find something crispy.
Yes, I will do. Yeah, that's great. And there was one thing that, actually, I think it's the right moment. So we have a tradition, like in these chats, where we ask each guest to ask a question for the next guest without knowing who they are. So
Okay.
before you answer, you tell me what question you would like us to ask the next question. I will ask you the question from our previous guest, which is relevant for what we're talking now. And the question is, what can you do personally to promote equality in the electronic music scene? That was their question.
So there was a question for me.
For you, yes.
What can I do? I think I'm already doing it. So as a record label owner, I will include extremely diverse artists. I already collecting tracks for submission. So I wanted to support those artists. They're extremely independent and nobody knows about. I mean, kind of they know in their own circle. So I wanted to invest my time and my resources to support. I can't support everyone, but if I focus on this, for people, it's possible, I think. And then as a touring artist, I'm gonna have a Jujuka on the Move tour, which is gonna be created as a workshop, experimental music, live performance, and DJ, DJ showcase, where I also would like to have 50% of people of color in my tour. So every city I go in America, I'm doing my own research and try to get involved people of color. So I think it's a good start.
It is, again, it's on your control. It's amazing. Yeah.
And for example, I know lots of promoters, they always say, "Oh, we don't have budget for extra." So I'm going to share my own budget with people who I want to have involved with me. Wow. So that's how we're going to roll for the next couple of years.
Wow.
And you can include it in your interview. And if I'm not going to use it, you can go against me.
Wow. This is public commitment, and thank you. I mean, I'm really proud of you. It's not a given. It's very important.
It feels so good. And also, I'm working with my friends here in New York for our streaming television. And it's going to have 3 guests, and it's going to be African or Black American artists in the show every time.
Right.
That's
It is very important. Things. It is very important. And I think those are the type of actions that I think can really flip the script. We can change the game,
Of course. And also, we shouldn't forget about queer communities.
Sometimes, I absolutely understand, and it's great to hear that you're doing this. It matters.
I will try. I'm trying. So let's see. Hopefully.
Yeah. And if someone who is listening who think might be applying to this, to the Black community, where can they send you demos or reach out to you?
Honestly, I like curating. At first, I was thinking to do this, but then it's not about. It's important to curate and have their own vision. So if I'm going to accept whoever going to knock on my door, it's not going to be about curation.
Of course. Yeah.
So I'm always open people can find me on Instagram, or I check in my Facebook messages. Absolutely. But I cannot guarantee whoever going to knock at the door, I'm going to let them in.
Oh yeah.
If the music will work, of course it will be possible to do something.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that we're gonna put all the Jujuka and your Instagram on the show notes. I wanted to ask you, let's talk about Jujuka. So it's your label. It vaguely recalls your name, and I know a bit about the story because you work with Le Blue.
Your friends.
Yeah, our friends. Yes.
Them. Yes.
Yeah, they're amazing. Matteo and Loan, and they're really amazing. Well, tell us more about the working with them, the project Jujuka, and how it came about.
I think if not them, I wouldn't achieve so many things. So I am extremely thankful for their creative vision, and they're also very strong, and they're extremely knowing what they want to do. Even they're very young. I'm so thankful to see people like this. And it was such a great a union because of I was doing music, they were doing graphics, and it was fantastic collaboration. collaboration. So, but I don't know if you know, we're not working anymore together for some times. I'm working now with my other friend because I wanted to focus more on the music because of the graphics. They take so much attention. Originally, it was multidisciplinary project, but then it's like you need to focus first on one thing to get it pushed strongly, and then you can slowly edit something else.
I agree. And it's mind share. Like it's part of your...
Yes, absolutely. So for now, I'm working with my childhood friend who does like simple graphics, like just he's extremely talented, but it would be mostly about the music. And then when time comes and I want to do again to come back to the vinyl stuff, probably I'm gonna hire them back.
Yeah, that's cool. Yes.
Yeah.
And what's the plan with the label? You have releases planned? You have a...
Yes. So I just signed this band, Zoo Energy from Antarctica. You can find you can find anything about them. It's like they're so like under radar. And it's 2 singles. It's punk. It's this like industrial noise mixed with crazy lyrics and voice, which is one of the leader have, and it's a very political oriented band. So I connect now not only music but also the voices of artists who wants to speak about political interest in the world.
Wow, that's amazing.
So this going to be out August 5. It's going to be digital only, unfortunately, and end of October it's going to be various artists with those 10 artists who I was mentioned before. I'm going to have a couple of people from America, from Detroit, from Brooklyn, from Atlanta, from Chicago, from Russia, from Turkey, from Korea, from Boston, from Iran, and from Italy as well.
That's very cool.
Let's see. Yes. Very exciting, very exciting. And then the whole idea is, and then all of these artists we're going to release on the various artists. I'm going to give them split EP with each other, that based on the musical orientation, I would say.
Yeah, that's very cool. You're gonna still be focusing on club music predominantly, or you're gonna broaden the scope?
It's going to be mixed. Now all of the genres are mixed up, you know.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't know. The Jujuka is about feelings. I don't want to put music in genres or like it's going to be just club music.
You're basically convening different people and different feelings.
Yes.
And then
it's going to be music. Yes, it's going to be music I like and I believe in those artists. Yeah. I'm not going to sign tracks. I'm going to sign artists actually who I believe, who I like what they do for all of these years. I'm going to give them platform to express themselves.
That's amazing. Yeah. And this is out of my curiosity. How did you find the band in Antarctica?
Connection.
Okay. So yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it would have been like, oh, I went to Antarctica once. I just found these guys playing.
No, internet.
Yeah, internet.
It's all internet. Yeah, internet.
Yeah, that's very cool. Wow.
I discovered them through. They have another few bands, like different names, and I contact them. I discovered them, and I told them I wanted something special. Would you be interested to put the record to me, a couple of tracks? So they're like, oh, we can try. So
that's pretty cool. I can't wait to hear it actually. So August 5th. I wrote it down.
It's called Zoo Energy.
Zoo Energy. So ZU Energy. Okay.
ZOO, like zoo, like zoo.
Okay. Yeah.
And energy as energy. Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. And talking about your own production, you just released a couple of weeks ago a track, like an EP, but that includes a track called Villaton with a famous piece of interview that you did with Ricardo Villalobos. Tell me more about that. Tell me about like what do you remember about the interview and why you picked that part.
The interview was taken in 2011.
Yeah.
Long time ago, and idea of this song was, this Insomnia song from the Faithless.
Of course, yeah.
So my idea was to use Ricardo as his manifest about no sleep, to like address to time today or his own style of no sleep to my production. So
very cool. Yeah. And you have I guess you have some admiration for Ricardo and for his music. You have collaborated, you know each other as well. Like, and I wanted to ask you, like, what is something that's like for you is something that people don't know much about Ricardo and the way he does art that has inspired you, perhaps?
I like him because of he behaved like woman.
Right. Yeah.
The way how he moves, the way how he behaved. He likes like he behaved like woman.
Yeah.
And I like this.
Yeah. And he's free.
He's not like his spirit is like a woman, and I like this a lot. So he has a very open mind character, and he's open for so many things. But also he's kind of wise, and he has fantastic memory, so he remembers things. I think he's and the way he moves like a woman.
Unique, yeah. Unique character. Very interesting. And okay, and so just shifting a little bit from this question is like you released a lot of tracks, probably around 200, if not like a bit less, but under 250.
No, not 200. Are you kidding me? Like maybe like 25.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Not 200. No. I mean plus 5 remixes. So it's
plus 5 remixes. Yeah. Okay. How do you approach your releases? Like, do you plan them, or for instance, they come out of your feeling at the moment?
I try to this own label. It's more subtle, I would say, because I can always put something on the label and release it. But I before I was chasing some labels, but I realized that I have to. Labels looking for tracks. So if I wanted to release a specific label, I have to do something like they want.
Right.
And again, coming back to my own system, it's against my system.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So in my own system, I constantly try to create some new music or new material or work on the new EP. But it's for free. I don't have like, I have to do 5 records this year or 1 record. I just do it in the way how I make music, which is spontaneous. So I create my records also spontaneously.
Yes. And does that serve you for inspiration? Does that help you be more inspired when you do stuff?
Inspirations comes when I start working.
Yeah. So in a way, it's in your mind, like the thinking process is, you know that you want to work on something. You have an idea. Let's not call it inspiration yet. Then you start working
idea.
on it. Yeah. So you go idea, work, inspiration, and then work, of course, to finalize it.
Sometimes it's like this, but sometimes it's just idea comes afterwards when I already create like pattern or like a couple of like I record a couple of samples and I like them, and then I like just record it on top of drums, or sometimes it's based, or I recorded voice on top of the rhythm I have, or I record synthesizers on top of the rhythm. It's just always kind of how's it called in English? It's always flowing, yes.
Flow, yeah.
But I never make music. I'm gonna make today a techno track, 909, industrial bass line, like fat bass line, or like acid, like some crazy acid stuff going on. No, it's not, doesn't
Yeah.
work like this.
Yeah. Okay. So do you work
It's against of my system.
Yes. So your system is basically like you know that you're gonna work on music. You start with the flow, you open the machines, and then the ideas start popping up in your mind. You get inspiration, and then you finalize the work in a way.
Yes, I just first I find a specific some sound which is like I really not comfortable. I find it interesting, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna build around
Right.
this rhythm or this patch something. Let's see how did it go. And sometimes it works very quick. And
Sometimes it's long.
it's just like, oh, I just redo it again, delete it
Yeah.
again, or I like it today, tomorrow I don't like it. So
Yeah. Do you work on multiple projects at the same time?
oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And yes, so I have like 9 unfinished projects,
Mm-hmm.
and then half of like my production time I work on one things, and then I'm like get bored because
Yeah.
it's just something doesn't click, and I come back to something I was working on 2 weeks ago, and it's like, oh, here we are, here is it. So it's this is the way how I kind of try to work.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So you have multiple things open at the same time. You progress with them. And how do you keep? How do you have a balance in your life, like outside of music and outside of work? Do you see friends? Of course, you have a husband. Do you set time for you to take care of relationships as well, and your husband, for instance, or it comes naturally for you?
My husband and myself, so instead of going to movie theaters, we are making music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or we sharing with each other ideas what we would like to do, and like asking each other advice what they think about. So this is how we spend our time together.
Yeah.
Instead of going to movie theaters. And then I guess we exercise. We love exercise a lot. So for us, it's a very important aspect. And in New York, unfortunately, I wish I would have my community. I've been living here for 8 years, but somehow I haven't found, I don't know why, maybe because of I'm not hanging out all the time.
Yeah.
These people, because I have other job, like you do. I have a normal job.
Yeah.
And plus I have my family, and plus touring life, and plus music, like it's a bit different, I guess. And I'm older.
Yeah. Do you
and
feel...
then married, so it's like my husband and my music is two important parts for me.
Right. Are the top ones?
Yes. So first husband, then friends.
Yes, interesting. Was there any time in your life where you felt like, oh fuck, I'm not dedicating enough time to my husband, for instance?
Oh yeah, of course. When you have a long tours and you go to Australia, or you have like usually it's September, October, when you just on your roll. Yes.
Yeah.
You can really fuck up and stuff.
Yeah. It's a good way to get together.
But my husband is so smart, and he's so kind that he forgive and he understand, because he also touring a lot, and he also can disappear on his own creative world for days, and I'm not going to come to him and knock his door and tell him, hey, give me some attention.
Yeah, yes.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm very lucky to have a partner like this. Yeah. So I think
yeah, I think you guys are like, it's very important. Makes a difference. Yes. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Very, very good to hear. And going toward the wrap up of the conversation, a couple of fast rapid fire question. Tell me a guilty pleasure track, a track that you love, but you wouldn't dare to play in a set, if there is any.
Yes, it is. I just can't get enough sleep.
Wow. Okay. I mean, like that is kind of a techno track. I mean, you can say.
Yeah, but it's like like it's just gonna so stick out from everything I played.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to go back because of people gonna like, it's gonna push, but then like, so I need to find out the way how I can get it like built up maybe.
Yeah. Or a closing, or use it as a closing.
Oh, yeah.
Just send people home, but they go to sleep at the point. And what is Julia secret weapon? Secret weapon. So it can be outside of music as well.
My secret weapon. I don't know. Maybe I should ask someone else. My secret weapon.
Okay.
You know my secret weapon, Cameron. I don't have any secret weapons. No. I never thought about that.
Okay.
I'm like unarmed.
Unarmed. Okay.
Yes. No weapons. No weapons.
No weapons. If comes to mind later, is fine. Otherwise, no worries.
Yeah.
And then the last question that I have is, what question do you want us to ask to the next guest?
The biggest mistake of your life.
Yeah.
I asked one time this question, Iggy Pop.
Okay, to Iggy Pop, yeah.
Yes, and he told me, he told that the biggest mistake that he thinks that he can change in one night, because of he was strung out on heroin back in the days.
Wow.
And he had $20 to buy food or buy new dose of heroin. And he decided to buy food. And he told me it was his biggest mistake because of people don't change in one night.
Wow. So in a way that small action tricked his brain to think that he could change his life, but he didn't.
In one night, people don't change. He thought he can, but he didn't. So I want to ask the next guest, the biggest mistake of your life.
Okay. Yes, interesting.
If it's going to be possible to do that.
Of course, yes. So I'm looking forward to to asking that question. Julia, this has been a real pleasure to speak with you and see you again virtually. Is there anything specific project or place where people can find your work, can get to know you?
They can Google and it's everything there.
Yes, and Instagram, I guess. There.
Instagram and everywhere. Thank you so much for having me, and please don't give up.
I won't not give up, and same for you. Good to know that you're keeping well. Say hi to your husband as well.
I will, yeah.